Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toy Escapades channel in Malaysia. Join me today for this very special look at one of the year's most anticipated releases from Ramen Toy The Marshall, which homages the classic BRAVESTARR cartoon and toy line from the 1980s. The Marshall is an all-new update on this classic character from our childhood and comes with all-new sculpting, enhanced articulation, and a multitude of accessories. Ramen Toy have sent over this early test shot of the figure for us to do an advanced review and share with you guys what you can expect to see when the figure is finally in your hands. And for what I can already see, this Marshall is going to be coming in hot with guns blazing. First of all, as I mentioned, this is a test shot. It is still far off from the final completed product. The whole thing is unpainted. There will be aspects to the sculpt that need touching up here and there, and there are still joints and accessory pieces that need further tightening and revision. But even as it is, this thing is impressive looking, man. Now, there was some controversy online when the first facial sculpt of the Marshall was showed off last year. You can head over to Ramen Toy's Facebook page to check out some of the feedback. A lot of people felt that the Marshall looked too old in that first sculpt. So Ramen Toy went back and did some revisions. I think the one that they have here is a great mix of maturity and grittiness. The final release will also include another alternate head, but this one here I feel captures the Marshall in business mode. Okay, like he's about to just deal out some justice. Alright? Hard justice. Now for a comparison, let me dig out also the Land Commander from the 80s Commanders line. Now this one came out in 2022 and I consider it to be a low point in terms of what their sculpting department was doing at the time. You compare these two side by side, alright, and you can see the tremendous leap in sculpting from their products today. Now let's check out the back of his head. We have his hair slickly combed back and ending in a ponytail. The ponytail is attached to a ball joint. This thing has a great range of movement. You can have it positioned up or down, or even turn it all around. And you know what? If one day you decide that the Marshall needs to just snip it off, you can remove it entirely, although you will be left with a gaping hole here, right? Like the Matrix is supposed to plug into the back of his head or something. Okay, he's got a lot of stuff going on with his wardrobe. Firstly, the vest, which is a definite must for the character, and this thing comes with a lot of detailing, front and back, and I'm glad that the whole thing is actually a separate piece. It really enhances the look of the character and bulks him up, right? Also, the final product will come with two different vests. Okay, one that is painted white and blue, and the other one which is all blue. All right, so we get more options in how to present and display the character. Okay, checking out the articulation, and by the way, rest assured that the Marshall is made to move, okay? Now the shoulders are on some very nicely manufactured butterfly joints. You get this inner bracket that's ball jointed, and then you also have the ball jointed shoulder attached to it, and both of these operate really well. On top of that, you also get a swivel joint at the bicep. Now this one is pretty standard for a modern day action figure. And what I also found was that the elbow band is actually really tight. Okay, you can hear the plastics grinding when you move them. Check it out. And then also you have the swivel at the wrist. Again, if anything feels loose, this will be corrected by the time they finish the final test shot. But from what I'm holding in my hands right now, the joints are already feeling nice and tight, okay? And that's great because there's a lot of stuff going on with this figure. Now, he's got this cool chest joint, right? You move in smoothly all about, backwards and forwards. Hell, you can even have him do the limbo, right? Now the vest does not hinder any of this movement, all right? So that's amazing. Also, similarly for the waist, okay, it's very smooth movement here at the waist, all right? He's got a lot of stuff here, like I said, the vest, the belt, you know, but everything here just moves very smoothly. Talking about that belt, man, this thing is just fully enhanced with all kinds of detail. All right, it's got clips, pouches. There's so many pouches here. He's like a 90s comic book character from Rob Liefeld. Now, as you work your way downwards, you get to the ball jointed thighs. Okay, These have great movement. There's a lot of stuff happening here with his legs. Okay, a lot of armor that's attached here, all right? But then you also get this swivel here at the upper thigh. Again, a lot of armor here, but nothing seems to affect any of the movement, all right? Similarly, you get this bend here at the knee. Okay, this one's tight, really nice and tight. As you work your way downwards, you get this ankle joint here, and also another articulated joint at the tip of his cowboy boots. So I guess you can get him in some really interesting cowboy poses, you know. And you know what? I'm just really impressed, okay, because with the amount of separate pieces on his legs, his thighs here, you know, all of this armor, of course, can be removed. But with the armor on, like I said, okay, there doesn't seem to be anything that hinders the movement, all right? And there's a lot of things that you can do with this figure in terms of posing him, the way he's standing, you know, the way he's crouching, and none of it seems to be affected by the armor that's on here. So I think that's really great. You can get him to just bend his legs. You can get him to just stretch them all the way out, okay? All right. Now, the Marshall is, of course, not complete without his iconic cowboy hat. Now, as I mentioned at the start, the accessories are not 100% as of this test shot, and this hat does not fit very tightly on the figure, but that will be corrected for the final release. Either way, you can see how with the hat on, the Marshall has an even more awesomely authoritative approach. Now, you also get an additional hat, one that comes with a visor and a communicator. As I understand it, there's no way for the visor to be attached separately to the hat as part of the initial sculpting process, so they decided to just give us an all-new extra hat. And this also gives us more display options for the Marshall. You also get a wondrous war chest of weapons, starting with this classic neutral laser pistol. Now, this fits into its own respective holster, and you can get this whole thing attached to the right side of his hip. Okay, the completed figure will come with 4 separate sets of hands. Unfortunately, the hands are not ready in time for this test shot, so I have one closed fist hand that's on the right side, and I have one open grip left hand only. So we'll have to get his laser pistol into his left hand, and this will get him ready to start blasting. As you can see, you can get the Marshall in some very cool, very dynamic action poses. He also gets the tomahawk. On one hand, I do wonder if the weapons look a little bit small. At the same time, they could just be the right size, right? Now, this end tip of the tomahawk blade is freaking sharp, by the way. Yeah, I mean, they'll most likely be fixing that for the final release, but look out for it either way when you're handling it. Now, the tomahawk also comes with its own respective sheath. This thing goes on the left hip, like so. And the tomahawk is actually, when you think about it, a really brutal weapon, okay? But in the pursuit of justice, the Marshall may have to go to lengths that few others would dare. Now, he also gets the Star Shield. This one may seem a bit over the top, okay, maybe too fantastical, but it was featured in the classic BRAVESTARR cartoon. Now, what you gotta do is get it plugged onto the Marshall like so. It only fits onto his left arm, and then it becomes something like a defensive shield, something like what law enforcers like SWAT would use when they're moving into a hostile situation. I thought this thing looked really corny at first, but the way it's executed actually does enhance the look of the Marshall on display, and you can have some fun posing options with it. Now, the Marshall also has one more important piece of attire to his wardrobe, and that is his poncho. And the way to get it on him is that you first need to remove his head entirely, and then you slide the poncho over his neck. You see that huge ball joint there? Okay, just slide the poncho over it, get it straightened out real nice, and then you pop the head back on. And there you have it, guys. Fans now have the opportunity to own an action figure version of the character in a poncho for the very first time. The poncho covers the whole of his back, and everything stays articulated just fine. And with the way the ponytail is articulated, it does not get in the way of the placement of the poncho either. Damn, guys, the Marshall sure is looking sharp with the poncho on. Like Clint Eastwood in High Plains Drifter. You guys seen that movie? But we're not done yet, guys. When you purchase the Marshall directly through Ramen Toy's website, you will get an exclusive bag of accessories that is available nowhere else. Among them is the Marshall's highly desirable rifle accessory. Yeah, we're gonna need this thing, trust me. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, I do not have all the hand accessories yet with this test shot version, so I can't really display the rifle on him as adequately as I want to, but I can still get it into his single open left hand, and it sure does cut an impressive look, guys. Now you can also have it slung over his shoulder with the strap that's included and have it ready to be drawn for action at a second's notice. Yeah, I know the rifle is a website exclusive, but now that I'm seeing it on display with the figure, I can't see the figure not having it at all. Alright, so it's a must-have. Another exclusive is the medallion. This thing will look more striking once it's painted, but it's something that you can have on him, displayed around his neck as an option. I can live without it, but it is a nice added bit of detail. The last exclusive accessory is this power rock. Now this is based off the Kyrium rocks from the original BRAVESTARR series, the source of all the conflict on the planet. This thing is translucent and the final piece will be painted red, of course, but do take note that it also has a gimmick in which you can split the rock apart. You see that? Yeah. So you can have a play scenario where the rocks get blasted and they just blow apart. Here's a comparison with the recently released BRAVESTARR homage figure from Dasin Toy. This is the first year since the 1980s that we're getting two BRAVESTARR style figures in the same year. The figures may be similar in spirit, but they are nothing alike. Ramen's The Marshall is 7 inches tall, while the one from Dasin is about 6 inches in height. Dasin's version also has a more cartoonish, anime-style feel to it. The sculpting style, articulation, accessories, and display options are also entirely different between both figures. I like both versions, and I consider these to be must-haves for BRAVESTARR fans. But in terms of a premium, high-quality feel, I would say Ramen's version is like a Super 7 Ultimates figure, while Dasin's version is like a Hasbro Marvel Legends figure from 2006. Guys, that's my look at the test shot for Ramen Toy's new incoming Marshall action figure. The test shot alone is enough to convince me that this will be the best BRAVESTARR themed action figure that you will ever own. This has already received an overwhelming level of support from fan communities worldwide, with 1,000 units reported sold in pre-orders. This will be fast on its way to becoming another sellout success story for Ramen Toy. If you have not pre-ordered it but would like to do so, I will leave a link for the pre-order page in the description box below. I will also be doing a follow-up video to this one in which I'll bring out even more comparisons with other figures, including the original BRAVESTARR figures from the 80s. In the meantime, I need you guys to help out by sharing this video out there. Drop me a like if you enjoyed the video. Leave me a comment and let me know what you thought of it. And also let me know what you guys would like to see in the follow-up video to this. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch all of you again real soon.